Welcome to MedMen Season 3.
Episode 1.
My name is Pim and that's Andy, and in this episode we are going to talk about two things that people get wrong with a common language.
Yeah, a common language. You know, it's funny that we should be having this as an episode topic, because I can genuinely remember a time not so long ago, around the time I was writing the book, where I really debated about referring to it as a common language because people didn't understand what it meant. And every time I referred to MEDDIC as a common language, I'd have to follow up and say, you know, by that I mean it's this, right? Mm-hmm. And I think now we're seeing it almost become a bit of like a buzzword. Every methodology, every framework is kind of throwing their hat in the ring to say, oh yeah, we're a common language, but they're getting it wrong. They're looking at a common language from the perspective of saying, well, if the whole sales team uses the same framework, methodology, whatever you want to call it, then it becomes common. No, it's not.
It doesn't make it common. Yeah.
It does not make it common, because outside of that sales team, no one knows what it is.
That would suggest it's actually the opposite.
It's uncommon, right? It's an uncommon language. And what that may not seem like a big problem, because you might be saying, well, if everyone in the sales team speaks it, then it is a common language. It's not, because every time you have to hire somebody new to the team, you're going to have to teach them this new language on top of teaching them the product, on top of teaching them about the personas they're going to be selling to, the industry, you know, all of the stuff that comes, the 3-letter acronyms, and, you know, all the other nonsense new starters have to go through, like learning how to submit expense reports and that sort of stuff.
Yeah, so that impacts like time to attainment, the overall experience.
Yeah.
There's enough stuff to go on with
It's
already.
a new language that they have to learn. But I think there's a bigger problem than actually the having to learn. It's the will to learn, right? If you join a company and they say, you know, you're going to learn the product, of course, expect that. You're going to learn the industry, of course, expect that. You're going to learn how we operate, of course, expect that. But you've also got to learn this new, we've got this obscure common language that, you know, 1 in every 100 companies will use. You know, if you do a job search for, you know, this term, it's not going to come up in many job searches at all, if at all. You know, there's a couple we did, like there's one that comes up and it just brings up chef's jobs. There's another one that brings up the actual retailer of the same name, right? But if you search for MEDDIC, you're going to see thousands of jobs. So the will to learn is important, because if you join a company and they say, we use MEDDIC, the person's going to go, great, this is a new something that I'm not just going to use here that's going to make my job easier, make me more successful, make me more cohesive, but I can now go and join other organizations, those top organizations that we know use MEDDIC, or a variation of MEDDIC, MEDDICC, for example. Yeah. So you have the will there as well. So that's very important.
The will gets fueled by what's in it for me, right? What's in it for the individual. And it's something that will make them better in their current role immediately, and something that will reflect well on their resume forevermore. Right? I have a story where I went to like a small Caribbean island. My wife is from there. She would like for me to learn the local language, but it's like 0.00001% of like the world's population that uses that language. And so at the time I had to kind of like decide, like, am I going to spend time and effort into learning that language, or am I going to double down on a language like English to open up career opportunities? I did the latter. Sometimes it gets me in trouble at home. But the point is, you make a decision on the basis of your vested interest. If you look at our industry, when an individual gets to learn MEDDIC as a language, it opens doors, right? It opens up opportunities with the very top of our industry.
I get asked every day, no word of a lie, at least once a day, either from a sales leader who's hiring, Andy, do you know any people in Berlin? Do you know any people in Dallas? Do you know any people on the East Coast, West Coast, wherever it may be, who, you know, have been through your programs that know MEDDIC, like, you know, to the level that you guys teach? Likewise, I get salespeople every day as well saying, Andy, where's the next hot MEDDIC company? I want to go there, because they know not just that it's going to be an asset they've learned that they can, you know, use more, but they know there's an association with MEDDIC, with the fastest growing, the most highest executing companies there are out there. So really, really important. So that's the first thing people get wrong. They think about a common language, meaning that just commonly spoken in the sales team. No, it has to be commonly spoken in our industry. There has to be upside to the person investing their precious time in learning it. The second thing people get wrong with a go-to-market language is just that they think about just the sales team. We already know how much progress we've made as an industry with evolving to be thinking not just about the sales team, not just about the revenue team, but the go-to-market team, right? And the common language has to be for the go-to-market team. You can't have one language in marketing, one language the SDR team speak. It's like the marketing team doing all their marketing in French, and then the SDR team trying to book meetings in Spanish, and then you're coming along in English or Dutch as the salesperson. It doesn't make sense, even if you're translating between, which is what happens, by the way, when we, the product team, they talk about, jobs to be solved or, user problems. And then, the marketing team talks about problems or problem statement, right? And then the sales team gets hold of it and they talk about pain. Well, the same thing happens with these other common language where we talk about pain, we talk about negative consequences, we talk about, there's all different words for the same meaning.
It's literally a collection of uncommon languages, bundled up together.
Yeah, So for a common language, it has to work across not just the entire go-to-market team, but the entire customer lifecycle as well. There's no point, when you're qualifying using pain, and then when you're actually selling, switching to negative consequences or before statuses or anything like that. It's all the way through, so that when we are a product team and we're ideating, we're thinking about pain, so we can give that briefing directly to the marketing team, who can then use, again, they can use the pain, they can look at the gain, they can look at the metrics that they hypothesize will come. They can look at, well, what's, for a customer to buy this, what's the decision criteria that we're going to have to inspire them to need, to want our solution? Who is the person that's going to benefit from this? Who's the champion? Who's what the economic buyer for them to sign off on this? What's it going to do? What are their interests? Yeah. And that carries all the way through from positioning to selling to, importantly, delivering value. And of course, the beauty here is the value you deliver, if it's captured in a common language, the product team, the marketing team can go and just listen in, just be a fly on the wall with customers to understand what pain is it we solve, what gain do we get from solving that value, what's the metrics that measure the pain to the gain, how is it our solution does it with decision criteria, and who cares? Is it the champion? And why are we better on our competition? It's a common language. It's beautiful. I'm a little bit invested, but I love it.
Yeah, we can tell. All right, so two things. The first thing, a common language has to be common, not at the level of just your sales team, which is like, this little pixel on like a very wide canvas, which is our industry. It has to be a common language in our industry.
Yes.
Right? The second thing being, it has to be applicable across the full go-to-market team, product included.
Yes.
And across the full customer life cycle, so that it unites the entire go-to-market team to do the best possible job for our customers.
It's almost like it's a common language that's common and a language.
Here's to a common language.
Cheers.
Cheers.